Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the tech noise and bring you the real insights. Today, we're looking at something pretty bold that's buzzing around. Google's new Pixel 10 lineup. Specifically, the Pixel 10 Pro and the Pro XL. Content creators are already calling them the iPhone killer. Now, that's a huge claim. So the big question is this just marketing, hype? Or does Google actually have the goods this time to challenge Apple's camera dominance?
Yeah, that's exactly what we need to unpack here. Our main source today is a really interesting piece from Y.M.CINEMA magazine. It's titled, "The So-Called iPhone Killer Just Landed on Amazon." Perfect, right? So our mission isn't just going to be lifting off specs. No, we want to dig into the specific camera advancements Google's made, figure out what's really new, and crucially, why it's causing such a stir, especially with filmmakers and creators. Is this truly a new benchmark for mobile creativity?
And this is super relevant for you listening. Maybe you're a filmmaker just starting out, or you vlog your travels, manage social media visuals, or maybe you just love taking great photos and videos with your phone. Understanding what Google's doing here, well, it could actually change how you think about creating content on mobile. Might open up some new doors. Okay, so let's get to the heart of it. Google's mission with the Pixel 10 series. The article makes it pretty clear they designed this lineup aiming for one thing, making every photo and video look cinematic. That sounds ambitious. I mean, loads of phones say they're cinematic, right? What makes this different? What's the real substance here beyond the marketing talk, especially if you're already, say, invested in the Apple ecosystem?
That's a fair point. Cinematic can be a bit of a buzzword, but what Google seems to be doing, and what the source really highlights, is backing that up with some pretty serious hardware and smart software. They're aiming for a specific kind of cinematic look.
Yeah.
The headline specs are impressive, sure. We're talking 50 megapixel stills, ultra-stable video, and apparently the sharpest portraits on any smartphone. But the differentiation, to answer your question, lies in how they're achieving this. It seems like it's engineered in, not just plastered on as a label.
Right, so engineering intent, not just marketing fluff. And
Yeah.
you mentioned stability. That's always the Achilles heel for phone video, isn't it? My vacation videos certainly prove that.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a pain point they seem to be tackling head on. The Pixel 10 Pro has this new optical image stabilization OIS module. And get this, it apparently has double the range of previous Pixels. Now, you pair that increased range with Google's Video Boost software, and the promise, the big claim, is the smoothest handheld video you can shoot without gimbals.
Okay, double the range sounds impressive technically, but what does that actually mean for someone shooting video day to day? Is it a small step or a genuine leap?
Well, smoothest handheld video without gimbals. That's a huge statement. We've heard things like that before. Does the source give any hint if this is backed up by early tests, or are we still mostly hearing Google's side of the story here?
Good question. The source relies a lot on Google's claims, naturally, but it does explore the implications of that double range. For a creator, it should mean much steadier shots in trickier situations. Think about walking through a crowded market, trying to get a smooth tracking shot, or even, jogging slightly to follow some action.
Usually a gimbal situation.
Exactly. Without top-tier stabilization, that footage is often just shaky and unusable. So if the Pixel 10 Pro really delivers this, it could mean leaving that bulky gimbal behind more often.
Which is huge. Not just convenient, but it changes the cost equation for indie filmmakers, right?
Precisely. Suddenly, that smooth cinematic movement doesn't necessarily require hundreds, maybe thousands, in extra gear. It kind of democratizes that pro look.
That's a really powerful aspect. It lowers the barrier to entry. And then there's the telephoto lens. This is another area where they seem to be making a significant jump.
Ah, yes, the zoom.
The Pixel 10 Pro gets the first ever 5x telephoto on a Pixel. But it's not just about magnification. The article stresses it delivers optical-grade zoom with clarity, detail, and autofocus speed that challenges dedicated cameras.
Whoa, okay. Challenges dedicated cameras. That's fighting talk from a smartphone. How credible is that comparison, really?
It's a phrase that definitely jumps out, doesn't it? You don't often hear phones compared directly to pro gear like that. And yeah, they are really pushing zoom, not just stopping at 5x optical. There's more, right?
Exactly. Beyond the 5x optical, there's what they call super res zoom, going up to 20x. The source suggests this is great for landscape and travel photographers, letting you frame distant details you couldn't capture clearly before on a phone.
Okay, 20x is already quite a reach.
But then, and this is where it gets strategically interesting, they introduce ProRes zoom up to 100x.
ProRes zoom.
Yeah, powered by their new Tensor G5 chip. And that name, ProRes zoom. It feels like more than just a coincidence, doesn't it?
It's definitely not subtle. It sounds like a direct nod, maybe even a jab, at Apple's ProRes video codec.
That's how the source interprets it too. Like Google is openly saying, hey, pro creators using Apple, look over here.
So they're using the name to challenge Apple's Pro image directly.
It feels like a very deliberate tactical move. But let's be real, 100x digital zoom. Even with a powerful chip like the Tensor G5, how much of that is genuinely usable for someone who cares about image quality? Isn't there always a point where digital zoom just falls apart?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The source mentions Google claims it works without destroying detail, which suggests their AI is doing some heavy lifting with image reconstruction.
Right.
But yeah, for truly critical, high-quality output, you're probably still looking at the optical 5x, maybe the 20x Super Ease range, the 100x. I see it more as an incredibly powerful utility. Great for scouting shots, maybe wildlife photography from a safe distance, capturing a far-off landmark for reference.
Okay, so less for the final print, more for extending your reach in the field.
Exactly. It expands what's possible to see and capture. Even if the absolute peak quality isn't at that extreme end, it's still a capability we haven't really seen packed into a phone before.
Gotcha. Expanding possibilities. Are there other hardware bits contributing to this whole cinematic push?
Yes, absolutely. It's not just about the lenses in isolation. They've apparently upgraded the entire imaging pipeline across the board. The Pixel Fold model, for example, gets a new 48-megapixel rear camera. The focus there is capturing more texture and accuracy. Makes sense for a device with a big screen where you see more detail.
Mm-hmm.
And underlying everything on all of the Pixel 10s is a refined HDR Plus pipeline.
HDR Plus, right? We hear that a lot. What does refined mean in practice?
Well, it means they've improved how the phone captures and blends multiple exposures. Think better handling of bright highlights and deep shadows in the same scene, but crucially, it's also tuned for more authentic, natural colors, trying to get away from that sometimes artificial, overprocessed smartphone HDR look.
Ah, okay. Trying to make it look less like phone footage.
Exactly. More like what you'd expect from a dedicated cinema camera, aiming for realism and depth.
That makes sense. Avoiding that obvious phone look is key if you're aiming for cinematic. So the hardware sounds genuinely impressive. The refined imaging pipeline, the stabilization, the zoom, it's a big push. But this is Google. Hardware is only ever half the equation. Their AI is usually where the magic happens, right? Making things easier for the user.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And this is where they really leverage their AI strengths, maybe differentiate themselves even more. Take something called Camera Coach. It uses Google's Gemini AI models, and it actually gives you guidance on composition, lighting, framing while you're shooting.
Wait, in real time, as you're lining up the shot.
Yeah, like having a little AI photo tutor or maybe a virtual director of photography right there in the phone, offering tips as you go.
Wow. So it's not just fixing things afterwards, it's helping you get it right in the first place. That's pretty
Exactly.
cool. How does that help a creator who's already juggling, the story, the subject, everything else? Does it just add another layer of complexity?
I think the idea is the opposite, to reduce complexity and free up mental bandwidth. Think about solo creators, vloggers, small businesses doing their own marketing shoots. They're often the shooter and the talent. Camera Coach could act like that extra crew member, helping ensure the technical side, the composition, the lighting is solid without needing an actual person there.
Ah, I see. So it handles some of the technical checklist for you.
Right. It takes some guesswork out, letting the creator focus more on their performance or the message. It's not just about learning. It's about efficiency and creative freedom.
That could be huge. I can imagine someone shooting in an unfamiliar place getting that instant feedback. Yeah, potentially transformative. And then there's another AI feature mentioned, Auto Best Take. What's that about? Sounds like it tackles the group photo problem.
Exactly that. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get one decent shot where everyone's looking at the camera, eyes open, smiling. It's a nightmare.
Tell me about it.
So Auto Best Take captures a burst of frames up to 150, apparently during group shots. Then the AI analyzes them and blends the best elements, like the perfect smile from one frame, open eyes from another, into what Google calls the single perfect photo where everyone looks their best.
Okay, that sounds like magic. So it composites the best faces onto one background.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
For anyone who spent ages sorting through near-identical group shots or had to reshoot because one person blinked, this could save so much time and frustration.
Definitely. For brand content, too, needing consistent shots quickly, that sounds amazing. Faster turnaround.
It's all about reducing friction, like the source says. These AI tools are meant to cut down on endless retakes and make content creation fluid.
Get it right the first time, move on. Streamlining the whole process.
Which brings us back to the big question. With all this innovation, The hardware, the AI, is that iPhone killer labeled justified. Is the hype real? The source is careful to acknowledge Apple's strength, stating that Apple still dominates an ecosystem polish. And that's undeniable. That seamless integration is a huge draw.
Yeah, that ecosystem lock-in is powerful. People are used to how their iPhone works with their Mac, their watch, everything. So even if the Pixel camera is technically better in some ways, will creators really ditch that familiar, smooth ecosystem just for the camera? Is that enough?
That's the challenge for Google, no doubt. Ecosystem loyalty is strong. But the article argues that maybe it doesn't need to sway everyone. It makes the case that when it comes to raw camera innovation, Google has pulled ahead. So for those users, maybe pro photographers, serious videographers, dedicated content creators for whom the camera is the absolute #1 priority, the performance gains might actually be compelling enough to make the switch, or at least consider it seriously, despite the ecosystem difference.
Okay, so targeting a specific subset of users who prioritize camera above all else, and that ProRes Zoom name, as you pointed out, feels like part of that targeted strategy.
Hmm.
Cheeky jab, the article calls it, aims squarely at Apple's pro dominance.
Exactly. It's provocative.
Yeah.
So if you connect all the dots, you have this potentially class-leading 5x telephoto, the super stabilized 4K video we talked about, the AI coaching, the high-res stills. It all adds up. The article argues this creates a smartphone that outshoots the iPhone in the very arena Apple has always owned.
Outshoots the iPhone. Strong words.
It suggests Google isn't just trying to catch up anymore. They're aiming to surpass Apple in the core areas that matter most to visual creators. So for people relying heavily on their phone as their main camera, the Pixel 10 Pro and Pro XL start to look less like an alternative and more like a direct challenge to Apple's flagship.
Yeah.
It really does feel like they're trying to redefine what we expect from a phone camera.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. Our deep dive, based on that Y.M.CINEMA magazine piece, suggests the Google Pixel 10 Pro isn't just another phone release. Its camera system seems genuinely ambitious. You've got serious hardware upgrades, the double-range OIS, the 5x optical zoom, plus the clever AI stuff like Camera Coach and Auto Best Take. It all combines to make a real, credible challenge to the iPhone's camera crown. It definitely feels like a significant step.
Yeah, it seems like more than just marketing buzz this time. The source positions the Pixel 10 as potentially setting a new standard, not just for pros, but for creators, travelers, filmmakers, anyone who wants top-tier photo and video capabilities in their pocket. It represents a powerful new tool pushing mobile content creation forward, making high-end results potentially more accessible and efficient.
Absolutely. And, seeing this level of camera tech packed into a smartphone really makes you think, doesn't it? With Google throwing down the gauntlet like this, aiming right at Apple's strengths, almost democratizing these high-end features, what does this fierce competition mean for the future? For mobile filmmaking, for photography, how will Apple and others respond? Are we entering a new phase where our pocket cameras get even more incredibly powerful? It's definitely going to be exciting to watch.